Hi, it's Trevor again. I'm still here. Oh, who says leaning on the notes there? Hello. And back here with the Inspire that we had yesterday. And this little video is a follow-up to what we were saying yesterday. We had a few people inquiring about the idea of using the pedals for functions, and it kind of brought home to the fact that we actually maybe have mentioned the normal ways of doing functions. So I just thought I'd do a little brief rundown of how we set the foot switches and the touch bars. And this applies to all the Lowrey organs that have a screen like this. So the function that we're going to go through is no different on this organ as it is on an A series and SU series instrument. So what we're going to do, we're going to jump to our features button. In fact, we said in the last video that we're going to use a lot more of the features button, so let me just zoom in a little bit more on the screen so you can see what I'm doing. Here we go, and actually if I bring that around a bit, maybe you can see a bit more of the screen. That's a bit of glare on there. There we go, hopefully you can see what we're doing. So, I'm going to touch the features button just beside the screen, and I'm going to scroll through, and as we said yesterday, there are lots and lots of pages of these features. Let's look at the foot switches first of all. There we go, on page 9 of this organ. And there's an option there that says foot switches. Might be on a slightly different page on your organ, but you're looking for the same menu. It says foot switches. And inside our expression pedal, on Lowrey organs, we tend to have two foot switches, one on the left and one on the right. And so we have two boxes here, one on the left and one on the right. So each one allows you to choose a different function. The default setting, and this is how it is when you very first turn the organ on, is for the left foot switch to be what they call glide stroke sustain, and the right one to be fill, or if you're on a non-E series organ, that would say FX. The glide one obviously is easy. It's what we were using in one of the earlier videos to glide the notes. It also works as a sustain. There's an interesting actually idea is that, let's just put a sound on, that when you're playing with a trumpet sound, for example, of course a trumpet can glide, but if you're playing with a piano sound, obviously a piano doesn't glide. So what Lowrey do is set the left foot switch to be what they call a sustain pedal, so that the piano, in fact, let's just turn the strings off so we just hear the piano. There we go. So the piano normally just dies away there, a little bit of reverb. If you hold down the left foot switch on the piano sound, it holds it as a sustain, so it's like a damper pedal. Enables you to play piano style. But those foot switches can do a whole multitude of different jobs. They don't have to be glide and sustain. So to change them, what we do is we touch the box that we want to change. It highlights in blue, and we just scroll. And so we can see the whole list of features that it can do. Let's have a look. So, for example, it can, let's start there, light show. So you can use the foot switch to activate the light show. So if we zoom back out, I click my left foot switch and bang, all the lights flash. Woo! And click the foot switch again and they stop flashing. What the light show does. You can use it to turn off and on the fake it button down here. Go back to glide sustain, I'm going the wrong way, aren't I? Sound effects. So the same way yesterday we were putting sound effects on the pedals, you can put sound effects onto the foot switches. So we can, for example, bring in the applause of the left foot switch. Thank you. Thank you. All right, please. You're too kind. In fact, you can choose any kind of things. You can get all kinds of. Yay. So you can get sound effects down there. You can use it to change the speed of the tremolo. So when you're playing with the organ sound, if you see there, the tremolo light flashing between fast and slow. So if you're playing there with an organ sound, oh, let's find an organ sound. Come on, organs. Jazz. feature back up, press feature, foot switches. So that's the tremolo. Sostenuto. This is a tricky one to explain. This is something that comes up on grand pianos normally. If you ever noticed on the grand piano you tend to see 3 pedals. We all know that the right one is the damper pedal and the left one is the soft pedal. Well, what's the middle one? Well, if you're sitting at a grand piano, this really only applies to a grand piano, it's what they call a sostenuto pedal. And what sostenuto pedals will do is only sustain the notes that you're holding down whilst you play the pedal. Follow that? So if I go and hold the foot switch, they sustain, but they don't. Yeah, we're never going to use it, so don't worry about it. This is an interesting one. If you're playing with single finger chords and you don't want to worry about trying to find the minors and the sevenths, you can trigger a diminished, a seventh or a minor by pressing the left foot switch. So let's just zoom out a bit more so you can see me doing that. So if we're playing with the easy function and we play a C with the single finger, can you hear that? It became minor when I hit the foot switch, major, click the foot switch, comes minor for us. So for anybody playing with single finger chords and you don't want to do the whole counting up and playing the like that to get the minor, you can actually click the foot switch to give you the minor function. Same with the seventh and diminished chords. There's no chord function, so if you've got the easy chord playing and you want to cancel it, just click the foot switch. Which is actually quite a handy one because obviously with the memory it's holding on. Click the foot switch, bang, it's gone. You can set it to do no function. Why would you want it to sit there and do nothing? Well, it does come up occasionally that if you have big shoes, that you might be catching the foot switch and it inadvertently activating a function while you're playing, then you might want to turn them off. So you have a no function option. Fade in and out. We use the fade in and out to make the rhythm fade in and out while we're playing. So if we're playing with a nice style, and we don't want to have a normal ending, we can actually just click the foot switch and it will fade away. Have a listen. Back to foot switches. So that's fade in and out. Introduction endings, we kind of know what they do. Increase and decrease tempo, we know what that does. Transpose up, transpose down, that's quite handy if you're playing a piece of music and you're playing away and you're kind of doing your... Foot switch, foot switch, foot switch. As you can see, going up and up and up. And let's go carry on through there. Now this is an interesting one. These ones which are coming up here. Auto start stop, and tap tempo. Let's do tap tempo first of all. If you've ever struggled to get the tempo right, you spend ages trying to move it up and move it down, you're not sure if you've got that speed right, well you can put the tap tempo function on the foot switch. It's there on the panel anyway, but you can put it onto the foot switch. So the way tap tempo works is you literally tap out the tempo, so I can do it with my foot switch. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's the speed. We'll do it slower. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, good old tap tempo. Now, these ones are quite interesting. These two here, auto start stop and start stop. This is something that does come up a lot actually, and it's a bit of an idiosyncrasy of the way that Lowrey styles work. So when we choose a style, say we press country, the organ is automatically in what we call synchro start mode, which means or auto start mode. As soon as I play a chord, the rhythm starts playing. Now even if I press stop here, next time I play a chord, it comes back again. In fact, that rhythm normally will only ever go away if I turn it off, or I let the ending play to the end. Because when you press the ending button, it plays the ending, and you'll see the light will then go out. That's quite a funky one, isn't it? See, that's gone out, and the rhythm's gone. But if I just press stop, the rhythm is still lit up, it's still ready to go. So when I play a chord, it's there. Only way to get rid of it is to turn it off. However, there's another way of doing it. Let's go back to foot switches. We can actually use our left foot switch to start and stop the rhythm. So I can actually have the rhythm going, click my left foot switch, it stops, and this is the important bit, it doesn't restart when I play a chord. In fact, it won't restart until I click the foot switch again. Stop, play, 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 bring it back. Very handy feature. There's a few times in music where you want the rhythm to stop, to give you a pause while you do something, and then you want to bring it back when you're ready rather than the next time you play a chord. So that's what you can use that start stop button to do. Start stop on the foot switches. There's another one called auto start stop, and that leaves it in that auto mode, so it means it will start again. So on that one, I can stop it with the foot switch, and then when I play a chord, it comes back. So it's duplicating what happens with the button up here. So we've whizzed through lots and lots of different functions on that foot switch, on the left one. And amazingly enough, if you've understood that, if you touch the right foot switch box, you've got all the same functions as well. If you're so inclined, you can have the same function on both sides. You can have a sound effect on either side. You can do whatever you want. Very, very handy from a performance point of view. It means you can get these things set up and ready to make things easier for you, and sometimes get things to happen like that start stop that don't have an obvious way of doing them on the panel. Now once you're happy with how you do it on the foot switches, doing it for the touch bar, which is just above it on the feature menu there, is exactly the same. It's the same list of functions. And if you're sitting on an organ that has two touch bars, you've got a left, whoops, two touch bars, you've got a left and a right, then obviously you'll have the two options to choose what function is on the left one and the right one. The thing to remember though is obviously if you spend ages setting up these foot switches, when you press your reset or home button, or you've turned the organ off and you come back to it, Lowrey will default the foot switches back to their standard setting. Now if you want to keep those settings, you either have to remember them in the setup, or, and if you remember back from the earlier videos, there is another trick you can use to remember a feature setting, and that's by using your custom buttons down here. If I change the arrow down here a little bit, oops, move it around down here, there we go. So if I just go back to my features menu and scroll through to my foot switches, you see now I've turned the organ off and on, they've gone back to glide and fill. Well, say I want to change these to something else. I want it to be no sound effects on that side and light show on that side. Now rather than to do that every time I turn the organ on, I can remember that setting into one of my custom buttons. So remember the way we store things in custom buttons? We press memorize, we choose a custom button, 1, 2 or 3. Well, I'll choose number 1 because generally it doesn't do anything. And we choose on here value and setting. That's very important. We're telling the organ that we want to remember in custom 1 the value and setting that we've chosen on that screen. Once we're happy with that, we turn memorize off, and bang, that's stored. So when I turn the organ back on again, yes, it's going to go back to its standard setting. However, by pressing custom button number 1, I'll immediately get back what I've got stored there, in theory. Let's test it. Let's reset the organ and wait for it to wake up. And so by waking up, it's gone back to being glide on the left, or sustain, and filling on the right hand side. And let's confirm that. So if we're playing with a piano sound, we've got sustain. Yeah. Glide as well. And if we've got ribbon playing, we've got the fill-in button. So they've gone back to the standard settings. We can even go into the features and just have a look at that just to reassure us that they're there. Yeah, they've gone back to standard settings. However, let's press custom button number 1 and hopefully a bit of Lowrey magic will happen, and bang, they've gone straight to being what I chose them to be. They've gone straight to being the sound effects and the light show. Ta-da! Brilliant. So via the two foot switches, the two touch bars if you're lucky enough to have them, and also going back to having the pedal function of natural and short that we said on the last video, you can actually have up to 6 different functions available for you to activate very, very quickly and easily, and the settings for them can be remembered either as part of a preset or in one of the custom buttons. And I think that's a pretty amazing thing, and something that we maybe have not explored enough on Lowrey organs. And those functions that you've got there in the foot switches can be very, very handy. If you say if you're playing with single finger chords, you can trigger your minors and your sevenths either with the foot switches or with the touch bar, or if you're used to doing it the Technics way of doing single finger chords, if you can remember that far, where you have to press a long and short pedal to get minors and sevenths, you can do that on the Lowrey. If you want to stop the rhythm in the performance and not have it restart, you can do that with the foot switch. If you want to trigger a light show while you're playing, make everybody think the organ's gone wrong, you can do that with the foot switch. So, pretty amazing feature actually. Something that's, again, I think something that one of the recurring themes that's coming out from all of these videos is that when we start looking at something that we think is very obvious and very simple, and something that we kind of take for granted, when we start looking into it and exploring what it does, it really opens up a whole new world. It's like a little rabbit warren of all different functions and styles and things you can do. And hopefully you'll then be inspired to go away and try them on your own organ and see what they do and see how you can use them in your own performances. So I hope that's been of help to you. I hope you're staying safe and keeping yourself well in these times. It's amazing how these weeks are sort of flying by, hopefully, and it's the support we're getting from the channel and the number of views is rocketing as well. Thank you everybody who's watching our normal channel as well. We're heading towards 6 million views on that channel, which is quite amazing. And we're keeping busy in the shop. What's been amazing actually is a lot of people who have been watching these videos have been calling up and ordering the software packs because they didn't really realise what the software packs did for their organ, or that there was a pack available for their organ. So we're still working on the new packs. We're finding time to do that. They should be out later on, hopefully this month. But in the meantime, you keep safe and keep well, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye bye.